What is going on, YouTube? This is Chimpact, and I have a black and white battle with my team that has pretty underused Pokemon. It's not my Hail team, and I'll be sure to have another Hail team battle later this week, and that Toro set. So I'm going to lead off with Hitmontop, predict a switch, go for that Toxic, but he goes for the close combat. And so at this point I'm just going to go for my own close combat, hope he doesn't have a Sash, and he doesn't. And that's easily going to take it out because he is at -2 defense and is super effective. But I'm at very low HP, so can't really do anything with Hitmontop now. So I'm going to switch out, save it for Death Fodder, and just in case I need to use Intimidate later on. And he goes for the Stealth Rock, so not really that bad for me because none of my Pokemon are really weak to Stealth Rock. And so I just go for the Sleep Powder and put that Hippowdon to sleep. And at this point I'm thinking he's going to switch out and go into something that resists a Grass type move. And so I go out to my Heatran, thinking that he's going to switch out, but he stays in. And so I'm going to go back out to my Tangrowth, just in case he wakes up. He goes for the Earthquake, but he goes for the Roar. And in comes my Swag Sire, the best Pokemon in the game. And I go for the Earthquake, and that doesn't do a whole lot, but damage is damage. And I'm glad I got something off on this Hippowdon. But it might just roar me over and over again until it gets back to full, so that's not the best situation for me. So he keeps going for the Roar, and in comes my Hitmontop, which is kind of good because I do get the Intimidate off, and I get an opportunity to use Toxic, and I do hit it, thankfully. And he's just going to finish me off with the Earthquake, and that's definitely going to take me out when I'm at 30 HP. And so I'm just going to switch back out into my Tangrowth, go for the Power Whip, and miss, but he goes for the Roar, so it doesn't really matter. I wall this Heatran pretty much with Tangrowth. And so in comes my Heatran, and hopefully this Toxic will prevent him from using Roar over and over and over again. And so that's pretty good. So he's gonna go for the Earthquake finally, and that's not gonna do anything. So at this point I'm just like, I'm pretty much gonna have to stall this thing out, because if Power Up's gonna keep missing, I'm gonna just use Lead Seed. And that's very good for me because in comes a Misdreavus, coming to take advantage of the Lead Seed because it doesn't have Recover or Recovery and Leftovers because it has Eviolite. And Misdreavus is a really good Pokemon because it gets Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, Shadow Ball, Pain Split, Heal Bell, and it levitates, and it's a ghost, so it resists, it's immune to fighting and normal, so it blocks Rapid Spin. So for all those reasons, that's why I'm using this Misdreavus. So I go for the Heal Bell and heal the Scald Burn, and the Shadow Ball is going to be a 3-hit KO on this Jellicent, and he goes for a Shadow Ball again. I could live it, but he gets the Burn, and so from the Burn and Sandstorm I'm going to be down to 7 HP, so I'm forced to use a Shadow Ball because if he switched out and I used Pain Split, that would have been the best opportunity for me to get my HP back, but he didn't switch out, so I knew that if he didn't switch out, then either way we would have both died or something. And so he goes out to his Jirachi, he goes to the Psychic as I go for the Sleep Powder, and I put it to sleep. And I'm just going to go for the Tickle, predicting him to switch out, and I didn't want to switch out myself just in case he stayed in like last time. And I'm just going to go for Lead Seed. And now he's at -1 attack, -1 defense, so just in case he is a mixed Jirachi, which I highly doubt it is, I'm going to switch out now and go out to my Cacturne, pretty much walling this Jirachi, barring it having HP Fire. And even if it did have HP Fire, it might miss because of Sandville. I'm healing with Leftovers and Lead Seed, so either way, it's a pretty safe switch in for my Cacturne because I am a little bit bulky. And unfortunately, I don't hit that Leftovers number that I actually saved it for, Poke-saved it for, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go for the Spikes as he brings in Ferrothorn, which is really good because Focus Punch is going to be a 2-hit KO because it does 300 damage to Notori, Ferrothorn. So he goes for the Spikes, and I still don't mind that because he has 4 Pokemon left. He can't really utilize Spikes that much by forcing me to switch, especially when I'm behind a substitute. I'm not going to switch anytime soon. And he brings in his Hippowdon again, And I'm just going to go for the Focus Punch, knowing I have priority over Roar, thinking I can finish it off, but he lives with a little bit of red health. And so I'm going to bring in, well, he brings in my Swagsire with the Roar. And at this point, I'm just going to go for the Waterfall, hoping I'm faster, but he is faster, and he goes for the Slack Off. And this Waterfall does nothing to this Hippowdon. So right here, I'm just going to go for the Curse, because if he roars me out, I'm still going to be at the same health relatively. And he does go for the Earthquake, and that doesn't do a whole lot because Heatran or Chimpact doesn't have the greatest attack set. So I'm just going to go for the Recover here, and he makes an awful play right here and keeps going for the Earthquake, knowing that he's toxic, and if he roared, he might have put me in a bad situation. Actually, he wouldn't have put me in a bad situation, but he still would have gave me entry hazards damage. So in comes an Extra Girl, and I can easily live this Earthquake because I am Quagsire with +1 attack, +1 defense, and because I am at +1 attack, that Waterfall is going to be a 2-hit KO. Unfortunately, it lives with that Magic Pixel. Now, so I'm just going to go for the Recovery, and I'm not going to go for it again just in case he gets, I don't want to increase his chances of getting a crit. So I'm just going to go for another Waterfall. And at this point, I'm thinking this is a 4-0 because I'm +1 Quagsire with max special defense. Goes for the Psychic. I live with 23 HP, and I go for the Earthquake. And he lives with that Magic Pixel again. So I'm kind of disappointed at this point. And he goes to the Psychic, finishes me off. So I'm just going to bring in Cacturn and finish it off with Sucker Punch. But he has Wish. I go for the Sucker Punch, and he goes to the Wish, so Sucker Punch doesn't activate. And so right here I'm thinking, whatever, I'll just finish it off with Focus Punch. And so, substitute up. But he gets a crit on the Thunderbolt, so I can't have enough HP to substitute. So I'm very disappointed at this point because he lived off that Magic Pixel, and then he gets a crit on Thunderbolt. But it doesn't really matter because I have two other Pokemon to take on the Jirachi. And so I'm just going to go for the Focus Punch in case he wants to Wish again. And so he takes out my Cacturn with a critical hit. So it doesn't really matter, but the fact that it was a critical hit just made it even worse for me. So I'm going to go for Leech Seed because it's more accurate than Sleep Powder, and I really didn't want Sleep Powder to miss, and I could live 2 Psychics. So in case it did miss, I could just go for another Leech Seed. So I do go for Sleep Powder here, and he does go to sleep, and so I could switch out to Heatran, but I was still kind of scared about that HP ground that he might have, so I didn't want to get Psychicked and then HP grounded, because that would have been a sure 2-hit KO with Psychic and HP ground, and I didn't want to take any residual damage other than spikes when I switched in Heatran. So he's going to wake up, go for the Psychic, and I'm easily living that. Miss the power up, doesn't really matter because it wouldn't have done a whole lot of damage anyway. And so Leech Seed is bringing my health back a little bit higher, but unfortunately 92 HP is not going to be able to live another Psychic. And I go out to my Heatran, hoping he doesn't have HP ground, and I take a ton of damage from entry hazards. He goes for his Thunderbolt, doesn't get a crit or a para, so that's Earth Power, easily going to finish it off. And I found him on the Pokemon Wi-Fi chat, and I'll link that in the description. Have a great day, guys, and I'm out. Peace.